Have you ever been lost? Imagine being lost not just in a city, but in a vast, cold wilderness with snow falling all around you. This is the story of the Johnson family and their incredible journey of survival in the snow. It's a tale about courage, family, and the power of staying calm when things go wrong. Our story begins on a crisp winter morning. The Johnson family dad, mom, and their two children, 10-year-old Leo and 7-year-old Mio, were excited. They were heading to a cozy cabin in the mountains for a weekend getaway. The car was packed with warm clothes, board games, and plenty of hot chocolate mix. The sun was shining, and the snow-covered trees looked like something out of a fairy tale. As they drove higher into the mountains, the weather began to change. Dark clouds gathered in the sky, and soft snowflakes started to fall. At first, it was beautiful. Mia pressed her face against the window, trying to catch snowflakes on her tongue. Leo was reading a book about Arctic explorers, feeling like an adventurer himself. But the snow fell faster and thicker. Soon, the road ahead was a blanket of white. Dad slowed the car down, his hands gripping the steering wheel tightly. "It's getting a bit heavy," he said, trying to sound calm for the kids. Mom looked at the GPS on her phone. "The signal is getting weak," she said, with a worried look. The car began to slip and slide on the icy road. Dad tried to control it, but the car veered off the road and slid down a small, snowy slope, finally coming to a stop in a thicket of trees. Silence. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Dad turned around. "Is everyone okay?" he asked. Leo and Mia, wide-eyed but unharmed, nodded. Mom took a deep breath. "Yes, we're all okay." They were stuck. The car was tilted at an angle, and snow was piling up around it. Dad tried to start the engine, but the wheels just spun uselessly in the deep snow. They were stranded. The first rule of survival is not to panic. Dad remembered reading this somewhere. "All right, team," he said, his voice steady. "Looks like we're having a little adventure. First things first, let's check our supplies." They had a full tank of gas, which was good. They could run the engine for a few minutes at a time to stay warm. They also had their suitcases filled with warm clothes, blankets, and some snacks they had packed for the cabin: granola bars, apples, and a few bottles of water. As night fell, the temperature dropped. The world outside the car was a swirl of white. The family huddled together under blankets. To keep the kids' spirits up, Mom suggested they tell stories. Leo, inspired by his book, told a grand tale of a brave explorer crossing a frozen land. Mia told a funny story about a snowman who came to life and loved to dance. For a little while, they forgot they were trapped. They were just a family, together. The next morning, the snow had stopped. The world was silent and covered in a thick, sparkling blanket of white. Their food and water wouldn't last. He looked at the map on his phone before the battery died. He estimated the main road was about 3 miles away, but it was through dense, snowy forest. It was a huge risk. "We have to try to walk to the road," Dad announced. "We'll stick together, and we'll be very careful." They put on every layer of clothing they had. Dad used a car mat to create a makeshift sled to carry their small bag of supplies. Before they left, they wrote a big help sign in the snow next to the car and left a note inside explaining where they were going. The journey was incredibly difficult. The snow was deep, sometimes up to their waists. Every step was a struggle. Dad went first, creating a path for the others to follow. Little Mia's legs got tired quickly. So, Dad and Mom took turns carrying her on their backs. Leo, trying to be brave, helped his mom by pointing out the steadiest places to step. The forest was beautiful, but also intimidating. The only sounds were the crunch of their feet in the snow and the whisper of the wind through the trees. They had to be smart. They knew eating snow would lower their body temperature, so they packed some into their water bottles to melt. They ate their granola bars slowly, making them last. After a few hours, they were all exhausted. Mia started to cry. "I'm cold, and I want to go home," she sobbed. Mom hugged her tight. "I know, sweetie. We're going to be okay. Look, we're a team of explorers, just like in Leo's book. We have to be strong for each other." Leo, hearing this, stood up a little straighter. He took his little sister's hand. "Don't worry, Mia. I'll protect you from the snow monsters," he said with a grin. Mia giggled through her tears. That little moment gave them all a new burst of energy. They kept moving, one step at a time. Dad used the sun's position to keep them heading in the right direction. He pointed out animal tracks in the snow to keep the kids engaged. "Look, a rabbit was here. And see those? Maybe a deer." Finally, late in the afternoon, just as their hope was starting to fade, Leo shouted, "Listen." They all stopped. In the distance, they could hear a low rumbling sound. It was faint, but it was there. "It's a car," Mom exclaimed. They pushed forward with all their remaining strength, their hearts pounding with renewed hope. They stumbled out of the woods and onto a cleared road. The sound was a snowplow clearing the way. The driver saw them and immediately stopped. He was shocked to see a family emerge from the forest. He quickly called for help on his radio and let them sit in his warm cab. Soon, a rescue team arrived. The Johnsons were checked over and found to be cold and tired, but otherwise safe. As they were wrapped in warm blankets and given hot drinks, they looked back at the forest they had just conquered. They hadn't just survived. They had worked together as a family. The experience changed them. They learned that they were stronger than they ever thought possible. They learned the importance of staying calm, being prepared, and most importantly, relying on each other. Their weekend getaway didn't go as planned, but they ended up with a much greater gift. A story of survival and a bond that was now unbreakable. And so, the Johnson family's snowy adventure came to an end. It serves as a powerful reminder that even in the most challenging situations, hope, courage, and the love of family can guide you through the storm. Thank you for listening to our story today. We hope it inspires you. Remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more easy English stories. See you next time.